Welcome to Skye's Sweaty Record Review, the only new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after getting off of the elliptical. It's episode 40-ish, who cares, and today I want to review Naji. Naji? I don't know how you say it. The album is called Misfit. It's got a great cover, it's got this guy's face, and he's got glasses, and he's got all these clothespins all over his face. It's an interesting cover, and it's a good example of this thing I'm trying to get off the ground of ISIT genres, where you listen to music and you know that it's categorized under a certain genre, but you don't actually know if it fits into your conception of that genre. When I reviewed the 1975, I put them in the ISIT rock category, along with 21 Pilots and Imagine Dragons. I credit everything to Kanye, as I always do, as being ISIT rap, as being someone who's the person to really just jam out those genres. But I think maybe in this case, ISIT soul doesn't go back to Kanye. I'd say it maybe even goes back further to Timbaland. When I was driving around in my car in the 90s, and I'd listen to Jammin' 94.5 in Boston for today's hottest hip-hop and R&B, I would always skip the R&B songs, which were like every other song, except when Timbaland started to come in. And all of a sudden I realized that hip-hop production, done at its finest, can be matched with amazing singing. And the result is better than just the dreck of what I felt was the dreck of R&B back in those days. Just, the over-singing, and just the sappy songs about love. Timbaland sort of ushered in this new era, I think, of this kind of ISIT soul, because it shares so much with hip-hop. So Naji is a great example of that. And apparently he's this young singer. I think he makes every note on his album. I don't know, the credits on the album are very vague. They just say it's by him. And the thing about this album is it's extraordinarily well produced. I mean, I only listened to each album one time. And when I left the album, I didn't have a lot of songs going on in my head. I put this artist, he's very different, but in a similar category as Dram from last year. Somebody who's doing soul, but also doing hip-hop, and it's not really clear which audience they're trying to go for, except that this is much less catchy and way more sophisticated. The production on this, just even after one listening, I've got a lot to say about it. This is an album. This is not a collection of singles. That much is clear. He puts in 2 intermissions, and I think it's safe to say that there's 3 parts to this album. And I'm going to name them for you. The first part, the second part with the woman, and the third part. Now, that sounds kind of dismissive. I don't mean it that way. But I think the first and the third part are very similar thematically. They're very similar stylistically. And the second part just has a woman singer on it. But I'll get to each of those. For the first part, let's analyze the opening track, Misfit. This is a nice example of his production. It's pretty forward-thinking. I mean, he's using his vocals as an instrument in the background, almost like sampled vocals layered over as opposed to just a keyboard. Every turn in this album, there's these little surprises that take you I didn't expect there to be a nice guitar line in the chorus that comes out of nowhere. I really want to listen to it again, because I get the sense that every time you listen, you're going to hear more of these little I didn't expect that sound to come out of there. The thematics just appear to be about his life. I mean, he's just talking about his life. He talks about meeting a woman who I believe is the same woman in the last song, but who knows? So I would say really listen to the song Misfit, but listen to it with headphones, not in the background, and listen to the layering. That's similar with the second part, or as I call it, the part with a woman singer. Her name is Sarah Diamond, and she's on 4 tracks on the album. Now, first of all, in general, when it comes to female singers joining male singers on R&B ventures, I don't like it. I didn't like Otis Redding with Carla Thomas. I despise Tammy Terrell with Marvin Gaye. I know these are great classics, okay? I love Marvin Gaye, I love Otis Redding, but I've never liked those. So when this started, I was like, oh boy, this album is so promising. And in particular, this track, Trust Issues, which is the first track of this second part. And I was like, all right, here we go. It's just kind of cheesy. It's more like traditional R&B singing, and I thought I was out, but I kept listening. And then by the chorus, I realized this was completely saved by the production. It is amazingly layered, very well textured. And then the singing is just so good. It's not good R&B singing. It is great R&B singing. And that was before the female singer came in. And she's excellent as well, Sarah Diamond. So I had to listen through this bias against this register of soul singing. This sort of seductive vulnerability of, well, that often feels like the imitation of seductive vulnerability, which defines R&B singing. Wait, that's pretty good. I'll say that again. The imitation of seductive vulnerability that defines most R&B singing in the modern era, to me. So like it's fake. It's not really this way, but they want you to feel that. But this goes way beyond it. Then there's the second intermission, which is probably the most like banging track on the album. It's like a game show sound with this great drum beat. And then at some point someone goes, "We're going to give you a cookie." And I love cookies, so I like that part. And he just explains, "Welcome to my life. This is very nice." And I think that's what he's trying to say with this album. Then the third part of the album is very similar to the first. I will say the last track gets a stamp. And it's called Id or I'd, parentheses, when I'm around you. It's really rare that music can actually be erotic. But this is an example of a truly erotic song. It's really atmospheric. I mean, it's Barry White 2018. I mean, it's really like, I actually had to stop listening to it in the gym. It felt way like I was in the wrong place, you know? Like I should have been in, you know, like a bedroom with candles and stuff. Like, I was surprised because I almost always skip any kind of super sexy soul song because they just don't work. Again, it's that imitation of seduction. But this is, I think, the best track on the album. I'm sure when I listen to the end of it, because it has all of this singing and the production is so good and so rich, and it is able to communicate very well. I mean, it's not just like, "Ooh, baby, I want to be with you." It's like he's talking about the emotions that he feels when he's with a woman, and you can tell it's about an actual woman, it's about an actual experience, it's his actual life. And that's the great thing about this whole album. It's his entire life. And, you know, I talk a lot about why do I do this show. And one reason is just, damn it, music is great. It's still alive. It's still doing great things. Whatever this ISIT soul thing I'm talking about, which other people call new soul, whatever, they're both catch-all terms that don't mean anything. These genres are just blending together. And for the most part, you could just rap on this entire album and it would be a good rap album. Or you could take out the instrumentation and it would just be an amazing singer singing amazing songs about his life. But it's personal, at the same time it's approachable. It's just, damn it, music is great. And Naji's album is a good example of why that is. I was a little bit biased by the fact that the one bit of bio I read about him is that he's from Monterey, California. And I happened to go there this summer and I read a lot of Steinbeck. And there's nothing Steinbeckian about this album. But if someone did want to make a Steinbeck R&B album, I think this guy could probably do it. So there it is. There's my review. I think my 3-word review is just going to be astonishing new soul. Like, it's astonishing. And I know it seems like I come out and I say that I like everything, but I listen to a lot of stuff before I pick the stuff I'm going to listen to. And there's a lot of things I listen to and I just, nope. There's a lot of soul, a lot of hip-hop, just some rock. I mean, when I select albums, it's usually a sign they're going to be at least a little bit good. And this is excellent. As far as the trivia of the day, I am going to say, it's a fake Pac-Man pillow. And I did see something at the YMCA. You know, it's Sunday. I'm going to go to church. And there was a commercial. And it was an infomercial by Pat Boone. Now, if you don't know Pat Boone is often seen as the nadir of rock and roll, the lowest point. He was created by a record company to just take black songs and sing them in a white way for a white audience. And it's amazing because he's always the boogeyman of rock and roll. That he was the worst, most crass political thing. I mean, like not political, but like safe. He made rock and roll safe. And I've always kind of looked down on him and thought he was a joke until my mom told me that she was the president of his fan club. Which, and my mom died a couple years ago, so I get sad when I think about her. But that's one of the strangest things. I just can't put that together. And so he was doing a commercial, and it's Sunday, for a speaking Bible. So it's like for old people, you know, like you get a little Bible and you press the button and it just speaks the Bible. And the sound wasn't on. So I was just imagining that it was Pat Boone speaking, that he was doing his sort of safe version of the way, so I walked through the valley of death. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny, the idea of Pat Boone reading you the Bible, but I don't think he actually reads it. Okay, there's the episode. Naji, have a listen. I think he might blow up. Pretty fair chance. This is great. I can't imagine that the NPR vampires aren't going to seize on this. It's got so much stuff that people like, you know, like a positive, well-crafted album that's well-produced. So give it a listen before everyone else tells you to. Listen to Skye, because I'm the sweaty guy. There's the camera.